The reading tonight is in 1 Corinthians chapter 10. It's the beginning part, verse 1 to 5. Let me go ahead and read it. For I do not want you to become ignorant of the fact, brother and sisters, that our ancestors were all under the cloud and that they all passed through the sea. They were all baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. They all ate the same spiritual food and drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank from the spiritual rock that accompanied them, and that rock was Christ. Nevertheless, God was not pleased with most of them. Their bodies were scattered in the wilderness. What's your thoughts, Harry?
Yeah, the Apostle Paul was writing to the Corinthian church about 3 years after they came to faith. The city of Corinth was a rough city. Slavery, immorality, lots of darkness. Not easy coming out of that into the light. Here, Paul is comparing their journey to the people of Israel coming out of Egypt with Moses 1,500 years earlier. In the spiritual world, Egypt has always been known for darkness. The people of Israel came out of it into the light of God. The Israelites, they were slaves to Egypt, and the Corinthians were slaves to sin. Both were set free. They should be happy now, but not so fast. Moses got the Israelites out of Egypt, likely in less than a year. It took another 40 years to get Egypt out of the people. They kept falling back into their old habits of grumbling, idol worship, immorality. It got so bad that God condemned the first generation to die in the wilderness. 2 million people came out of Egypt and crossed the Red Sea into the wilderness. Less than half crossed to Jordan with Joshua 40 years later. The church today is quite good at getting people out of Egypt and darkness into the wilderness and into a fellowship of like-minded people. Only those who shake off the darkness of Egypt will cross to Jordan with our Joshua, Jesus, into the promised land. Dying in no man's land, the wilderness, is so sad. The Israelites were, as we read, all baptized in the cloud and in the sea. They all ate the manna, bread from heaven every day given by God. They all drank water from the rock, Jesus. Getting out of Egypt was a group event. Getting across to Jordan was a Jesus event. Do we have church or do we have Jesus?
Amen. And I think that's a very important message there, Harry. But I think also the solution has to deal with the new nature that we receive, right? Because when you're saying all that stuff, it sounds taunting and like really impossible to defeat, right? But I believe that it really comes down to being born again or receiving that new nature. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, very much. There is a difference there between the Old Testament and the New. The Old Testament was a lot of it just being familiar with the rules and those kind of things. We do have teachings and rules in the New Testament too, but Jesus gives us instruction, but he gives us instructions that are nearly impossible. Things like being able to forgive others, to love your enemy, and to deal with anger and lust and all those other horrible things. How do we do that? How do you get that? How do you shake that off? And it's all around. It's so prevalent, and it's really pretty well impossible. But all through the generations, God has always been able to do the impossible. And how that is done today, I believe, like Jesus, if we're truly born again, that means that Jesus comes into our heart. We've heard all of that before. But as he comes into us, he replaces our human nature with a spiritual nature, with a Jesus nature. And this nature has a different appetite. And if we are truly converted and truly come to Jesus, our nature changes, our appetite changes. We do not want that garbage anymore. And even things like forgiving. If Jesus, that was his specialty. And if he's in our life, he's in our heart, forgiving is normal. It's not impossible anymore, because as we feel, as he pushes our human nature, slides over on the chair, and now he's taken the spot, and he's actually saying, he's running our life, and says, no, he says, I just feel sorry for people that have done dirt in the past to us. That's not where we want to be. To forgive others, to love our enemies, and to deal with all the other stuff that's around us with a new nature. we actually, this is Jesus. He is in us, making choices for us, our appetite. Jesus truly gives me the desires of my heart, but my desires are different. My desires aren't out there
Amen.
anymore, all the garbage from before. Like, I just love this. I love what we're doing. I love the word. I love the Lord. I love people. And it just saddens me so much to see people with one foot on each side of the story. And no, that's a horrible spot to be, because it's the worst of both worlds. We're neither fish nor fowl. We're struggling with both. And what do you do with that? But if we can, if we have to cross to Jordan, dying in the wilderness is not the answer. And to cross to Jordan, we do it with Jesus, a new nature, born again. And now we can enjoy the journey and enjoy crossing the Jordan. It's not a burden anymore, because if we're half and half, Christianity's a burden, the world's a struggle, everything's a struggle, all the chaos around us. We can be an island of tranquility in an ocean of chaos. Thank God for that.
Amen. Thanks a lot for this, Harry.
Thank you.